Hello? Ayan. Sige, a pleasant morning to each and every one of you. So again, this marks the second part of our discussion in genetic engineering and recombinant DNA. No? So in our previous discussion, I have taught you the process on how does the gene of interest plus the vector or the plasmid is being inserted to each another or within another. No, we have the restriction enzyme and also we have the DNA ligase that seals the gene of interest to the plasmid. Now, it's high time for you to learn how does this vector is being reintroduced again to the host organism, or how can we insert the plasmid that we have created or recombinant DNA that we have created in our gene or in our bacterial cell. So technically, there are different processes that are involved or different ways, no, on how we can reintroduce or insert the plasmid to the uh, bacteria. First and foremost, we have the chemical process. No, technically, we utilize the use of different charges. No, in your chemistry, your chem teacher has taught you that there are different charges that are involved in the different chemicals. No, calcium chloride has a calcium. And syempre, chloride, no? It has a positive and a negative charges, no? And technically, we utilize these charges to help the plasmid to enter the membrane of the bacterial cell. So if we're going to go back to our discussion in Gen Bio 1, which is about the prokaryotic cell, so technically, unlike eukaryotic cell, prokaryotic cell have a cell wall plus cellular membrane. So technically, it is more thicker compared to eukaryotic cell, which only has a cell membrane. No, again, we use the calcium positive charge to make it penetrate inside those membranes. So these are thicker in nature. So technically, the charges help the plasmid to pass through it uh, in that process. No, we use the different chemicals. Well, another example is we have the liposome. So technically, liposome came from the word lipo, which means fats. No, and if you're going to look back again to the structure or parts of the cell, uh, you have to realize, class, diba, that the cell membrane and the cell wall is made up of what? It is made up of phospholipid bilayer, particularly the cell membrane. So technically, it is made up of lipid or fats. So technically, we use fats for the part of the vector or the plasmid to enter the cell. So as you can see in the picture that can be seen in the green green color in the left side, no, the liposome can easily penetrate the cell because the fat part or the lipid part will be associated in the cell membrane. Therefore, it can easily penetrate, or the component of the liposome can easily penetrate the cell. We also have this physical means on how we can introduce, no, the gene to the host organism. So one of which is the electrophoration. No, mind you, class, I want you to. You can also search on the internet the gel electrophoresis. No, so what do we do in gel electrophoresis? We use different charges. No, we use the signaling and charges for the different sizes of molecule to migrate to the different part. Again, the primary reason or primary function of gel electrophoresis is to separate the different sizes of the molecule. And what are the molecules that we can use in the gel electrophoresis? Technically, we have the mRNA. In our discussion last time, mRNA is a single-stranded molecule and technically it is shorter compared to DNA. Tama ba? So we have the gel electrophoresis. No? And we also have the microinjection. So this is very literal. This is a small injection that is used to insert the plasmid to the cell. No, we also have the biolistics. Ito naman, if you are familiar with the gun that is used to pierce through your ear, sa mga nagpapa-piercing dyan, no? If you're familiar with the gun, no? Almost similar process happens in biolistics, no? We insert the vector to the cell. And later on, I will show you the picture that we'll discuss this, no? And lastly, we have the vectors, no? We can use different virus, no, or viruses that have specific gene that can easily penetrate or hijack the cell. So technically, parang itong, if you are familiar with the Trojan horse, no, na ginamit sa Trojan War. So technically, the Trojan horse serves as the vector. Ano ba ginawa ng vector? It carries the genetic material, no? And once it penetrates inside the wall, ano nangyari? Pinakalat doon yung mga soldier, no? Ganun din sa vector, no? Pagkapasok nung vector sa cell, nagkakaroon na ng hijacking or pinasok na yung molecule, and technically this molecule can now be translated into a protein. So technically, if you have an mRNA that enters the cell, it can create a protein, and this protein can fold and create a new species of virus. So again, these are the following examples that we have for the host organism. First and foremost, we have the heat shock treatment. No, in bio, we have this different. We have this notion that when the chemical formula change, no, there can also be an alteration of structure. No, pag nagbago ang temperature, also there can be a change in structure. So heat shock is a treatment or a process used to transfer plasmid DNA into the bacterial cell. The target cell are pre-treated before procedure to increase the pore size of their plasma membrane. So anong meron tayo dito, class? In the first picture that can be located in the upper part, the chemical transformation, technically the bacterial cell is being introduced into a lower temperature, mga less than 4 degrees Celsius. No? So what will happen? Technically, when the bacterial cell is being introduced to a lower temperature, ang mangyari pa dyan ay ang kanyang pores ay nakasara. Tama ba? And realize that, again, the cell wall and the cell membrane is made up of lipids. So technically, what do you think will happen to a lipid when you introduce it to a low temperature? Technically, it will coagulate. It will stick to each other. Tama ba? And the process happens for more than 5 to 30 minutes. After you have introduced it to a cold, now you will now introduce it to a 42 degrees Celsius for exactly 30 seconds. So technically, there's an abrupt change of temperature, and this change in temperature results into an opening of the cell membrane and allowing the recombinant DNA to enter the bacterial cell. No? After that happens, you now again reintroduce it again to the low temperature, as you can see in the picture at the right part. In-ice bath ulit natin siya, no? And then technically, nakapasok na si vector o si plasmid sa loob ng bacterial cell. Okay? So we have that shock treatment. So what will happen, no? Technically, there is a recovery period. O, tignan naman natin yung lower part, no? Almost similar process happens on what I have mentioned at the top, no? What happens? Incubation period, binibigay mo na lang siya ng cold bath. Heat shock happens, 42 degrees Celsius after 30 seconds. Ay lalagay ulit natin siya sa ice bath for recovery. So, class, technically, bacterial cell needs to recover from this type of treatment shock. So technically, once you reintroduce the plasmid to the bacterial cell, the cell or the organelles inside the bacterial cell will try to repair the sum of the damage that has been done by the heat shock treatment. So technically, the bacterial cell can still function as a normal cell, no? So, napasok na si plasmid at okay na ulit si bacterial cell. So now let us talk about the bacterial transformation, no? Actually, ito yung pinakamahalaga. I want you to focus on this one, no? Focus muna tayo sa right side of the screen. You can see a calcium ion, no? Calcium has a charge of 2 or positive 2, which helps the DNA to get in place. So, ano nangyari dyan, Sir Mark? So technically, the phospholipid bilayer or the cell membrane, or particularly, sorry, the cell wall of the bacterial cell have their charges also. So technically, using the calcium ion, we used to position, no, the DNA or the plasmid into the cell wall. So as you can see, there are varieties of charges. Following the physics logic that we have in your physics class, positive charges is attracted to negative charges, and negative charges also is attracted to positive charges, or like charge repel, unlike charge attract. Ganun lang naman ang logic, hindi ba? So once it is positioned, heat shock opens the pores and widen and helps some of the DNA to get in. So just like what I have mentioned in the heat shock treatment, these procedures happen, no? This simply summarizes the whole process, no? Similar to what I have explained earlier. Realize, class, that in the bacterial transformation, the bacterial cell are treated to make their membranes more permeable. When we talk about permeability, it is the ability of any material to enter or exit specific part of the cell, di ba? Kung sinabing permeable, dapat makapasok or makalabas. Secondly, in the bacterial transformation, the plasmid is introduced into the bacterial cell. Just like what I have mentioned, the very reason why we introduce a heat or heat shock treatment to the bacterial cell for the plasmid to be introduce or enter the bacterial cell. And lastly, the transformed cell are selected on antibiotic-containing media. So technically, kapag napasok naman ito sa loob ng cell, as you can see, you have to isolate the bacteria to know if a specific gene of interest or the plasmid that you have inserted really manifested on that bacteria. Okay? So just like what I've mentioned earlier, no, a biolistic is an example of physical, no? We used abrupt physical contact, no, to make the vector or plasmid penetrate the plant cell. A gene gun is a device used to deliver genetic materials into cell by propelling DNA-coated gold or tungsten microparticles at a high velocity. So, meron tayong high velocity na ginagamit para ma-introduce si vector. Question, Sir Mark, why do we use gold and tungsten as our coat for the DNA? The logic there lies under chemical properties. Ideally speaking, gold and tungsten are non-reactive to any other particle, no? For example, si gold, it needs to have a high acidity and high temperature for it to melt. Technically, they can be used as a coating, no? As a covering, and they are malleable in nature. Tama ba? Gold is malleable, meaning uh, it can be easily bent or be malleable. No? This technique, originally developed for plant cell, is now widely used for gene transfer in various organism, tissue, and organelles. So usually, class, yung biolistics naman sa plants lang ginagamit. No? And we have that example. Number one, we have the plasmid as a vector. Sir Mark, you always use the term plasmid and vector, but what is the difference between the two? So technically, the plasmid is a circular DNA that is located where? No, inside the bacterial cell. And the vector is the one that carries the gene of interest. So technically, the vector is the combined part of the gene of interest plus the plasmid, no? And many plasmid containing gene that confer resistance to antibiotics and thus can serve as a selectable marker. Okay? So may mga part, no? Ang isang vector na tinatawag na selectable marker, no? What is selectable markers? Selectable markers are sequence of DNA that are used to identify transformed genes and a quantity of expression of the gene. So technically, pag sinabing selectable markers, these are the markers that is used, no, para malaman saang part ba, no, napakasimple, parang marker lang 'yan. Saang part ba dito yung part ng origin of replication? Saan bang part dito yung resistance to specific antibiotics? So that is the selectable markers. As you can see in the picture, there are varieties of color, and the transition from one color to the another are known as the selectable marker, no? We have to check, no? After we have entered or after we have penetrated the vector to the bacterial cell, as a scientist, no, we really have to check, no, if the desired gene is being processed or accepted fully by the bacterial cell. Tama ba? Realize that even when a population of host cell is interacts with the appropriate vector, last time I have mentioned that hindi lahat ng plasmid ay applicable, no? There has a compatibility that needs to happen for the gene of interest and a plasmid. When you created a DNA recombinant or a vector, only a small portion of the cell actually takes up the vector. So hindi lahat yun, no, ay kukunin lahat. After ligation reaction, not all the vector copies contains the foreign DNA. Hence, we have the reporter genes, no? It helps in selecting or identifying host cell and containing the DNA recombinant. I want you to focus on the picture that can be seen at the right side. The PCR primer are designed so that the DNA fragment obtained the PCR have an each end of restriction sign in matching the one that is cloning. So when we talk about cloning vector, ito yung similar vector or pag sabing clone, kamukha, no, na vector. So technically, recombinant DNA plasmid are added to bacterial host cell which are then treated with antibiotics. So technically, when we have the bacteria, and ano meron sa bacteria, and it has a vector, it is now treated to specific antibiotic. Bakit siya treated sa antibiotic? To know if that bacteria contains the gene of interest that we wanted in the first place. Tama ba? Kasi nga, the vectors carry the gene of interest, and for us to know if this specific gene of interest is being translated or being a part of the vector, we have to subject it to antibiotic. Pag siya po ay nabuhay, technically, meron siyang gene of interest na yun. Pag namatay naman siya, technically, it does not have the specific vector that carries the gene of interest. As you can see at the lower part, di ba meron naka-X? Makikita natin doon na una, walang vector yung bacterial cell or maaring hindi pa fully recovered. That is why it is subjected to death or namatay yung bacterial cell. Selection of plasmid DNA-containing cell. No? Use of ampicillin resistance gene as a selection marker. As you can see in this picture, the plasmid antibiotic resistance gene, tingin tayo sa right part. No? There are different parts. We have the promoter site or target for the gene expression. And in its periphery, we have the restriction site. Diba? Naturo ko na ito last time. So promoter region is the part wherein the gene of interest or gene of expression is being introduced, no? And then lastly, we have the antibiotic resistance gene. Ano meron sa antibiotic resistance gene? Just like what I have mentioned earlier, para malaman natin if nagmanifest or meron talaga yung specific gene of interest, yung isang cell na makikita sa plasmid, kung meron siyang gene of interest, technically it will be resistant, no, to any antibiotic. So for example, we have here the ampicillin, no, ampicillin resistance gene. So anong gagawin natin dito? We have the transform cell and non-transform cell. Sir Mark, what is the difference between the two? When we talk about the transform cell, these are the bacteria that carry the specific gene of interest. Okay, napaka-logical lang naman isipin. Pag non-transform cell, ibig sabihin hindi ito na-transform. Kung ano siya before, ganun pa rin siya dati. No? Again, why do we need to do this testing or antibiotic resistance testing? Paulit-ulit tayo to know if the plasmid that we inserted to bacteria has been observed. No? The transformant allows the plasmid containing cell to grow and propagate into the colony, no? Again, kapag siya ay may antibiotic resistance, technically it will grow and will form a colony. Kapag ito naman ay walang antibiotic resistance, particularly na ampicillin resistance, the cell will die. So ganoon lang siya ka logical isipin. No? Selection of transform cell with the desired gene. So ito yung example natin, no? We have this trait, no, na pwede nating i-insert or ipasok ay plasmid, no? One of the example is the fluorescent product, no, GFP, also known as the fluorescence production, no? Anong meron dito, class? So logically speaking, no, just like what I've mentioned earlier, if the specific bacteria that you have cultured and na-insert mo na yung vector doon, kapag na-manifest niya yung gene of interest na gusto mo, it will glow like the one that you can see on the right part of the screen. Those bacteria without the plasmid do not glow in the ultraviolet rays. So technically, di ba? Balikan natin. Kanina, we have introduced the different ways on how to insert the vector or plasmid to a bacterial cell. Paano natin malalaman kapag wala yung vector na yon? Ito yung mga sumusunod, no? Antibiotic testing, plus itong GFP test, no? a GFP na gagawin natin. So, those bacteria without a plasmid do not glow in the ultraviolet light, while the host bacteria that contains the plasmid o sa mga bacteria na kumuha or nakapagpapasok ng plasmid, they glow in ultraviolet light. The plasmid vector has the gene for green fluorescent protein. Ito yung sasabi natin ng GFP, no? Example of marker that we can see in the bacteria that gets the vector. So again, this is the sequencing used for PCR. No? The bacterial cell that makes colony should all contain plasmid. Nasabi natin to before, which provides antibiotic resistance. However, it is not necessarily the case that all plasmid containing colonies will have the same plasmid. So last time I have mentioned that there are varieties of way on how does the gene of interest accept a specific plasmid. No? How does plasmid accept the specific gene of interest? There is a certain way on how to accept or transcribe it. Tama ba? Nakita sa left side yung the forward recircularization. No? So may mga pagkakataon na plasmid close up back again and gene of interest not being inserted. And on the last part, the right side, there are instances where in gene of interest is being inserted but it does not follow the correct sequencing or it runs in a backward position. Therefore, the presence of the desired gene in the inserted plasmid may be confirmed using PCR or polymerase chain reaction amplification. So how does polymerase chain reaction happen? So there are different processes, namely the three. But the logic here, class, is we replicate the DNA. So why do we need to replicate the DNA? To know if the specific strand of DNA is being showcased or nagmamanifest sa isang specific part ng plasmid. Nakaintindihan? So there are different parts. Number one, you have the denaturation. The DNA or part of the mRNA, pwede rin, or DNA, is being introduced to 94 to 96 degrees Celsius. So that is a process called denaturation. So you encounter this term when you discuss GenBio1, protein structure, tama ba? When protein is introduced to different temperature, there is this thing called denaturation, wherein the structure of the protein is being altered. So ganun din nangyayari dito, class. For the DNA double strand to dissociate from each other, it has to be introduced to 94 to 98 degrees Celsius. So technically, you have to cleave the bond between the hydrogen bonds on the nitrogenous bases by introducing it to 94 to 98 degrees Celsius. Second step, the annealing. No, ano meron sa annealing? The temperature is lowered back to 50 to 65 degrees Celsius, allowing primers to bind to their complementary sequence on a single-stranded DNA. Since denaturation, ang naging byproduct is a two-strand of molecule, now in the annealing, there's a single-strand molecule and you allow the primers again to bind to this single-strand molecule for the elongation to happen. So what happens in the elongation? The elongation, the temperature is raised to 70 degrees Celsius, enabling the DNA polymerase to synthesize new DNA by adding nucleotides to the primer. Question, ano nag-a-add dito sa mga ito? The polymerase or the DNA polymerase. And then, the polymerase chain reaction continuous, no? Exponential ang growth nito or exponential ang kanyang pag-synthesize. So, ano mangyari? From 1, you will create 2, 2, 4, 8, 16 hanggang sa makapag-produce ka ng napakadaming copies of the DNA. It is called chain reaction because sunod-sunod ang kanyang paggawa. At polymerase kasi nga madaming or gumagamit tayo ng DNA polymerase. For sequencing of use of PCR, so we have here the example of the DNA containing gene of interest. If you're going to look at the upper part of the screen in the diagram, again, we have the plasmid cloning vector. So what is plasmid cloning vector? Ito yung gagawin natin or kinopya natin or kokopyahin natin na vector. So the DNA containing gene of interest, yung red one, is being cut by the restriction enzyme. Paulit-ulit tayo dito, no, class? Pagka-cut natin ng restriction, pagka-cut natin ng gene of interest, it will introduce to the plasmid cloning vector and then the recombinant DNA is being produced. So anong meron? In the left side, makikita natin there are 3 rows. In the left side, recombinant plasmid containing gene of interest is then inserted to the bacteria. In the middle part, the recombinant plasmid containing other DNA is inserted to the bacterial cell, and then the non-recombinant plasmid is inserted again to the bacterial cell. And lastly, at the right side, we have the no plasmid bacteria. So technically, there are 4 bacteria in the picture, no? The bacterial chromosome and the bacterial cell that contains the recombinant plasmid, the non-recombinant plasmid, and the no plasmid. So what will happen? The amplification of vector in the DNA in the bacteria. So when we talk about amplify o ability to amplify, pagpaparami lang naman yun or pagpapropagate, no? So technically, there will come a time that bacterial cell will propagate, and technically, the cell will multiply, thus the vector inside the cell multiplies. Select clones carrying recombinant vector. So technically, we look for the bacterial cell that carries the vector of the recombinant DNA na makikita saan? Nasa left side yung color orange, no? After we have seen that the clone has replicated the bacterial clone carrying the many copies of the gene of interest, we can now get the bacterial cell that carries the gene of interest. And protein production in bacteria, so there are possibility number 1, bacterial plasmid factories. So when we talk about plasmid factories, this just simply means that the bacteria creates lots of plasmid, kaya nga plasmid factories. Ano? And in our discussion last time, when we talk about DNA and mRNA, anong meron? When mRNA is being translated, undergoes central dogma, anong mangyari? It will create a protein. And realize that protein is a structure that is also used, no, in creating plasmid, no? Aside sa protein, it also carries nitrogenous bases. The plasmid DNA might be used in further DNA cloning steps or in various types of experiments or practical purposes. So technically, plasmid factories gumagawa ng madaming plasmid sa bacteria. And again, balikan natin. What is the primary function of plasmid? Plasmid is used to carry the gene of interest, and it is used in DNA recombination. So technically, magandang din to, no? Gawin. For instances, plasmid were used to deliver human gene to lung tissue in recent gene therapy clinical trial for patient with genetic disorder, cystic fibrosis. So technically, in application, when we have lots of plasmid, we can create a lot of DNA recombinant. So ayun lang naman yung gusto sabihin dito, no? Possibility of bacteria in creating plasmid factories. Another possibility is bacteria creating a protein factories. So what does protein factories do? If a plasmid contains the right control sequences, bacteria can be introduced to express gene in containing when a chemical signal is added. So balikan natin yung central dogma. Ano bang ginagawa or paano ba ginagawa si protein at the first place? Ribosome needs to be attached to the mRNA, and then translation happens, protein is being created. Balikan natin. When bacteria becomes a protein factory, it can create, syempre, a protein that can be beneficial to the bacteria itself, no? Plasmid introduction, transformation, replication, and harvesting of the protein is very essential. So balikan natin. Kapag nakagawa ka ng madaming protein, anong implication nito, class, no? If you have protein, what are its implications? So technically, balikan natin, enzymes are made up of protein. And if you have a lot of protein, technically you can create an enzyme, no? So these are the different applications of it. And when we have lots of protein, we can have an enzyme. You just need to modify it with the use of research and science. So this is the example of production of protein, no? Last time, earlier I have mentioned that we can produce an enzyme, no? Pwede rin naman mga another hormones in the body, no? For example, the human insulin production. So paano nangyari dito? Human cell or the ability to produce an insulin is being selected and isolated, and then the bacterial cell that is compatible na may plasmid, ano nangyari? Using the restriction enzyme, they are cut, no? Or the plasmid is being cut, the gene of interest is being inserted to the plasmid and ligate by the DNA ligase, and then this is known as the transgenic bacteria. So technically, you have to grow and culture it. You have to propagate the gene of interest, which is the ability to produce human insulin. You have to ferment it, purify it, and lastly, you have to isolate or again, produce the insulin ready for distribution. So makikita niyo yung mga naka-bottle na insulin. It is used for, again, a person that have diabetes. So ano ba meron sa mga may diabetes? Number one, they can produce an insulin, but their body's necessity in insulin ay sobrang taas at di kaya mag-cope up ng insulin nila. So, they need an additional or supplementary insulin. Another case can be human do not produce insulin agad, no? So, yun yung mga possible cases on how human utilize insulin. Now, let us focus on the GMO or genetically modified organism. Just like what I have mentioned last time in our class, there might be a genetically modified organism that you are not aware of, no? May mga siguro, mga ilan-ilan, pag pumunta tayo sa mga ibang restaurants o kainan or maybe in our environment, there are organisms that are genetically modified but we are not well aware of, no? Know your GMO. According to USDA in 2011, 94% of the soybean is genetically modified, 90% of the canola oil is modified, 88% of corn is modified, and 90% of cotton is modified. But let us focus more on the development of the GMO, namely the flower saver and the BT corn. No? So ano meron dito kay flower saver tomato? So while you are listening to it, I want you to read it. Flower saver tomato. Okay? It's your time. Go. Okay. So we have the flower saver tomato. Technically, the logic in here is that the flower saver tomato has this mRNA insertion, no? Na tinatawag natin na antisense RNA. So what does this RNA do? So technically, it inhibits the growth or it inhibits the ripening process of the tomato or tomato. So what do you think will be the implication of inhibiting or somewhat delaying the ripening of the tomato? Technically, if we delay the tomato ripening, the shelf life of it will be prolonged. Ganun lang naman ang logic, no? Unlike the normal tomato that ripes, for example, after 2 to 3 days, using transgenic tomato or flower saver tomato, we can now prolong its shelf life and the ripening of the tomato will reach up to 3 weeks. So again, this is a genetically modified organism in the process in the ripening process of tomato. Again, I want you to study this one because this example is very this example is great example of genetically modified organism. Another example is the BT corn, also known as the Bacillus thuringiensis corn plants. Again, Bacillus thuringiensis corn plant. No? So ano meron dito? So again, BT corn is a modified organism corn wherein it contains an endotoxins. So what does endotoxin do? Endotoxin result into death of a pest that used to eat the corn. So technically, the larva, borer, or yung mga nag-i-insert ng kanilang mga itlog sa mais, ay technically, they are being subjected to death once they eat BT corn, no? Because BT corn, again, contains an endotoxin. The good catch there is, class, pests like larva borer na Lepidoptera larvae ay anong meron, no? Ang mga pest lang ang namamatay dahil sa endotoxins, but we humans, mammals, first, fish and birds do not is not being harmed when we ingest BT corn. So that is a good thing for us because what is its implication again to the agriculture sector? We humans can again eat BT corn and we increase the pest resistance of the BT corn. So that is a good thing. For application in the Philippines, actually same technology is being utilized no in BT corn, no? Aside sa corn, we explore the eggplant, and that is a good move for us in the Philippines. And we are now utilizing the GMO in different plants. And who knows, maybe one of you can create another GMO that again can better the life of human being and we Filipinos. topics. So I think this marks the end of the discussion, and I hope you really understood our discussion. First and foremost, I would like to apologize if you have to listen up to this part, and if you listen up to this part, I am very happy also because you have the patience, and thank you for everything. So that would be all for today, and good luck to your examination on written work number 1. That would be all. Thank you.